Globus never sleeps, man, the mind's always restless. Night owl in the shadows, plotting moves like a chess set. While the world dozes off, I'm constructing my schemes. Blueprints of the future in the fragments of dreams. Sleep is the cousin of death, I'm avoiding the kin. Eyes wide open, let the journey begin. Through the labyrinth of thought where the weak hearts break. But I'm digging through the darkness, chasing dawn before it wakes. The globus never sleeps, 'cause sleep is the cousin of death. I'm out here breathing deep, while the rest waste their breath. No rest for the wicked. I'm wide-eyed and driven. In the silence of the night, my thoughts stay vivid. Ink spills from the pen like a river through my veins, flooding every page with the echoes of the pain. I'm a wordsmith with a purpose, carving truths from the lies. When the world's counting sheep, I'm counting how time flies. Insomniac mind, every second is a weapon. In the war against the clock, I'm always stepping. Sleep's a cousin I disown, no comfort in the night. Just a canvas for my thoughts, painted in the twilight. The globus never sleeps, 'cause sleep is the cousin of death. I'm out here breathing deep, while the rest waste their breath. No rest for the wicked. I'm wide-eyed and driven. In the silence of the night, my thoughts stay vivid. Dreams are for the sleeping, but I'm living in the real. Grinding through the dark where the truth is revealed. Every thought a spark, every line a fuse. I'm a torch in the night, no time left to lose. The world's spinning slow, but my mind's in a race. Chasing every moment, there's no time to waste. Eyes like a hawk, seeing every crack and crevice. In this waking life, every second is precious. I keep my thoughts sharp like a blade in the night. While they're lost in their dreams, I'm honing my sight. Sleep is a cousin I've learned to forget, 'cause the globus never sleeps. There's no time to rest yet. The globus never sleeps, 'cause sleep is the cousin of death. I'm out here breathing deep, while the rest waste their breath. No rest for the wicked. Wide-eyed and driven. In the silence of the night, my thoughts stay vivid. on the Pepper Show.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What up, Twitch? What up, Cosmic? What up, Pharaoh? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in my chatterino? It's your boy. Me and Stampy. We're not gonna do snacks. We're just gonna do scritches. Big scritchy boy. Big scritchy boy. Say hi to chat. Oh, I want more scritches. All right. Let us do the news. So this is a big week in AI announcements, right? Announcements are not the same as deployments. They are announcements. Well, we shall see. We shall see. Microsoft did their event. NVIDIA was at something called Computex. And today, I believe, is the Google event. So we'll see what Google drops. Microsoft, what up, Larry? The bubble only gets bigger. The bubble only gets bigger. The bubble is like the universe. It is infinite. Microsoft announces over 50 AI tools to build the agentic web at Build 2025. Microsoft launched a what up, Ghost? It's a Globus show. Microsoft launched a comprehensive strategy to position itself at the center of what it calls the open agentic web at its annual Build conference this morning. This was yesterday, I believe. Bloop, 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 bloop. Introducing dozens of AI tools and platforms designed to help developers create autonomous systems that can make decisions and complete tasks with limited human intervention. The Redmond, Washington based morning tariff. The Redmond, Washington based technology giant introduced more than 50 announcements spanning its entire product portfolio from GitHub and Azure to Windows and Microsoft 365, all focused on advancing AI agent technologies that can work independently or collaboratively to solve complex business problems. We've entered the era of AI agents. Thanks to groundbreaking advancements in reasoning and memory, AI models are now capable and efficient, and we're seeing how AI systems can help us solve problems in new ways. Nice. Nice. By the way, I appreciate the invite pointing me in the direction of Dr. Waku's Discord. I had to bail on that shit because there's one person in there, Mr. Tibbs, who is absolutely insufferable. And posts a lot. So I just had to go, dude. Yeah, yeah. And like one of those people who can't be told nothing, right? And so it's like, okay, dude. All right. All right. I'm out. And there was stuff that they were saying which I agreed with, right? But it's still like Has anyone taught you how to interact with human beings? Because that's what you need, Mr. Tibbs. Oh, just skimming through. Microsoft is placing GitHub, its popular developer platform, at the forefront of its agentic strategy with the introduction of a GitHub Copilot coding agent, which goes beyond suggesting code snippets to autonomously solving programming tasks. The new agent can now operate as a member of software development teams, autonomously refactoring code, improving test coverage, fixing defects, and even implementing new features. For complex tasks, GitHub Copilot can collaborate with other agents across all stages of the software lifecycle. What up, Aaron? Microsoft is also open sourcing GitHub Copilot Chat to VS Code, allowing the developer community to contribute to its evolution. This reflects Microsoft's dual approach, both leading AI innovation. Okay. So there's a bit of, like I got the vibe earlier, and this piece right here, this is a bit of a PR piece, right? And I mean, it's VentureBeat, etc. Um, and there's not anything wrong with that. We just have to be aware of it when we're reading, right? Microsoft's dual approach of both leading AI innovation while embracing open source principles to an extent. What up, big man? Over the next few months, the AI powered capabilities of the GitHub Copilot extensions will be part of the VS Code open source repository, the same open source repository that drives the most popular software development tool. Multi-agent systems enable complex business workflows and process automation. Local AI capabilities expand as processing power shifts to client devices. Yeah. Security and identity management. Scientific discovery platform. What's this called? That's one of the most ambitious applications of agents announced at Build is Microsoft Discovery, a platform designed to accelerate scientific research and development across industries, from pharmaceuticals to material science. What up, Matt? Jason Zander described in an exclusive interview with VentureBeat how this platform was used to discover a non-PFAS immersion coolant for data centers in just 200 hours, a process that traditionally takes years. In our area, our data centers are huge for us because we're a hyperscaler. Using this framework, we were able to screen 367,000 potential candidates in just 200 hours. We then took this to a partner who helped synthesize the results. And this is important. Like some of the liquid cooling, the immersion, basically putting the entire data center stack into a pool. It has to be non-conductive, obviously, because you don't want it to jump from lead to lead. But a lot of them are like offensively toxic. But the idea that there's a non-PFAS one could definitely indicate that maybe we have found something that's not offensively toxic. The meta point is all things took, in some cases, years or even decades to create. Now they've been banned due to regulatory constraints, and rightly so. And the real business question companies need to answer is, you need to replace these products because you have offerings that are now banned, and it took you years to create the existing product. How do you compress that development timeline going forward? Trouble is the non-conductive stuff isn't very conductive for heat either. This is another problem. Like it's blocking manifold with vacuum system. Nice. Nice. Industry standards create ecosystem for interoperable agents. Microsoft Agent Strategy positions it at the center of the next computing paradigm. So aren't we proud of all of them? All right. We're finally, these are a couple of older things, but they relate to the AI is totally not taking anyone's job because that's what some dudes in Denmark said. So we're going to cover these and so we can get it in the books. Software engineer lost his $150,000 a year job to AI. He's been rejected from 800 jobs and forced to DoorDash and live in a trailer to make ends meet. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei has predicted that AI will be doing all coding tasks by next year, but an existential crisis is already hitting some software engineers. One man who lost his job last year had to turn to living in an RV trailer, door dashing, and selling his household items on eBay to make ends meet, as his once $150,000 salary turned to dust. Worked for a large home builder as a kid. The company made the world's most energy efficient home as an experiment. They had to cut holes in it because it was trapping radon. There's that. Tech layoffs are nothing new for Sean Kay. The software engineer first lost his job after the 2008 financial crisis, and then again during the pandemic. But on both occasions, he was back on his feet just a few months later. Excuse me. However, when Kay was given the pink slip last April, he quickly realized this time was different. AI's revolution of the tech industry was playing out right in front of him. Despite having 2 decades of experience and a computer science degree, he's landed fewer than 10 interviews from the 800 applications he's sent out. Worse yet, some of those few interviews have been with an AI agent instead of a human. I feel super invisible, Kay tells Fortune. I feel unseen. I feel like I'm filtered out before human is even in the chain. And while fears about AI replacing jobs have been around for years, the 42-year-old thinks his experience is only the beginning of a social and economic disaster tidal wave. The great displacement is already well underway, he wrote on his Substack. Kay's last job was working at a company focused on the metaverse, an area that was predicted to be the next great thing, only to be overshadowed in part by the rise of ChatGPT, and generally because the metaverse, the way that it's being developed or was being developed, we have no idea where that stands. But the metaverse was not conducive to what people will use a metaverse type system for, right? Nobody wants to virtually go to meetings, none of that. Why do all that when I could just do a Zoom call? Socializing, some gaming, that kind of thing. That's what VR and the metaverse are going to get you. Now, living in a small RV trailer in central New York with no lead on a new tech job, Kay's had to turn to creative strategies to make ends meet and try to replace a fraction of his former $150,000 salary. In between searching incessantly for new jobs, checking his empty email inbox, and researching the latest AI news, he delivers DoorDash orders like Buffalo Wild Wings to a local Holiday Inn and sells random household items on eBay like an old laptop. In total, it only adds to a few $100. He's also considered going back to school for a tech certificate or even to obtain his CDL trucking license. Don't do that, my dude. You will. Can you imagine? Can you imagine homie goes, gets his CDL trucking license, and then the automated trucking wave takes him out? It's like, follow this guy. Wherever he goes, that's where the automation is heading. What a bull lobster. He's the weather rock. But both were scratched off his list due to their heavy financial barrier to entry. What up, Dan anonymously? That's a song. K's reality may shock some, considering that the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics has consistently labeled software engineering as one of the fastest growing fields, but stories like his may soon become all the more common. I will follow him wherever he may go. Yeah, my grandmother had the rope, the weather rope, and it was like a board that would hang on the wall, and it would have a rope, and it said basically the same, the same kind of thing. Earlier this year, the CEO of Anthropic, Dario Amodei, predicted that more software jobs will soon go by the wayside. By September, he said AI will be writing 90% of the code. Moreover, in 12 months, we may be in a world where AI is writing essentially all of the code. In 2024, over 150,000 tech workers lost their jobs. So far in 2025, that number has reached over 50,000. It's coming for basically everyone in due time, and we're already overdue for proposing any real solution in society to heading off the worst of these effects, Kay wrote. No shit. Speak. The discussion of AI job replacement in the mainstream is still viewed as something coming in the vague future rather than something that's already underway. Saw a video of a self-driving trailer in China with a scooter stuck under it while it was going down the highway. Yeah, I mean, like on one hand, yeah, there's still going to be bugs to work out. On the other hand, I've seen videos of a human-driven truck pushing a VW because the truck, it was like one of big ass dump trucks, and the VW couldn't be seen from, apparently, I'm guessing, or this dude was just pissed, but it was pushing this VW down the street, right, sideways in front of the thing, and just moving it right along. Remember when everyone insisting this wasn't happening, it wasn't going to happen because it's all hype? You mean yesterday, Larry? Probably today? deny the lies that your eyes tell you. Despite being unemployed for over a year, Kay still hasn't lost hope, nor is he necessarily mad at AI for replacing him, and still calls himself an AI maximalist. If AI really legitimately can do a better job than me, I'm not going to sit here and feel bad about it. Oh, it replaced me, and it doesn't have the human touch. What's frustrating, he adds, is that companies are using AI to save money by cutting talent rather than leveraging its power and embracing cyborg workers. What up, TN? Happy Tuesday, y'all. I think there's this problem where people are stuck in the old world business mindset of, well, if I can do the same work that 10 developers were doing with one developer, let's cut the developer team instead of saying, oh, we've got a 10 developer team. Let's do 1,000 times the work that we were doing before. And this is the dichotomy, right? And AI Daily Brief has talked about this on more than one occasion. There will be companies that cut staff in order to save money. There will be companies that leverage the power to do more work. We will see. Any individual company, any individual company is going to make its own choice. Were they cold? Like, did they get to you in time? Right. That would be my only concern. Is um is the box insulated? Rockstar is gonna cut no workers, and GTA 7 is gonna have 100 different cities. I mean, maybe it'll come out in 2100. From Bloomberg, Microsoft layoffs hit coders hardest with AI costs on the rise. Microsoft Corp recently announced job cuts fell hardest on the people who build the company's products, showing that even software developers are at risk in the age of artificial intelligence. In Microsoft's home state of Washington, software engineering was by far the largest single job category to receive layoff notices, making up more than 40% of the roughly 2,000 positions cut. Microsoft said on Tuesday that it would cut about 6,000 workers across the company. The Washington state data represents about a third of the total. Yes, 2,000 is one third of 6,000. Very good. Very good, Bloomberg. Nice to see that math isn't being lost. What up, Michael? Most companies, I would imagine, will cut their labor force and save on expenses. That is my opinion. AI Daily Brief seems to be, he seems to think otherwise. I guess we'll find out, right? As Microsoft and its rivals make steep investments in AI, they are scrutinizing costs and reprioritizing budgets. In recent weeks, Microsoft executives have pledged to keep a lid on spending amid huge investments in data center construction. At the same time, AI powered tools capable of writing or analyzing code are automating elements of software development previously done by engineers typing away on keyboards. At Microsoft, as much as 30% some products' code is now written by AI, according to Satya Nadella in April. Several tech companies are reshaping their workforces as they focus on AI. Earlier this year, Salesforce planned to cut over 1,000 employees as it hired for AI focused sales roles, particularly in sales. CEO Mark Benioff also said the company will reduce its hiring of engineers in 2025 due to the use of AI. When Workday Inc. announced a layoff in February, CEO Carl Eschenbach said hiring would continue in strategic areas like AI. Beyond software engineers, many of the hardest hit Microsoft personnel ran software projects. Product managers and technical program management roles together made up almost 600 of the reductions in Washington, or about 30% of the total. Yes, 600 is 30%, is about 30% of 2,000. They're doing a bang up job over there, Bloomberg, doing some math and respect. The job cuts also targeted some managers and workers assigned to AI projects, according to a person familiar with the cuts. Relatively few customer facing roles, such as sales or marketing, were impacted, the data show. Microsoft declined to comment. Microsoft said the layoffs were designed to remove layers of management, but it's not clear how much delayering is actually going on. About 17% of those axed in Washington were classified as managers. The company employed about the same percentage of managers across the entire operation at the end of 2023. Delayering. And so this is a thread from thelayoff.com with like more tight details. They're giving them a severance package. They're not performance related, span all levels. 1,985 employees. Largest layoff since January 23. Reduce management layers, increase organizational agility. $25.8 billion in net income, up 18%. Company invested heavily in AI infrastructure. Some employees suspect this is an accounting maneuver to smooth earnings rather than a true operational necessity. Shock, sadness, frustration. Felt like a bloodbath. Others criticized the randomness, saying cuts appeared to be non-strategic and disproportionately impacted teams that were previously considered safe. Yes, dude. You gotta wake up. Internal leaks revealed that Microsoft now uses a 2-year rehire ban for employees let go for performance and refers to them as good attrition. Critics say Microsoft is following Amazon's lead in normalizing constant layoffs and labeling employee exits as a metric of success. So that's it. They absolutely are not impacting jobs with the use of AI. Everything is fine. Just go back to sleep. It's okay. It's okay. It was, in fact, not okay. Shifting gears, China begins assembling its supercomputer in space. China has launched the first 12 satellites of a planned 2,800 strong orbital supercomputer satellite network, reports Space News. The satellites, created by the company ADA Space, Zhejiang Laboratory, and Nanjing High Tech Zone, will be able to process the data they collect themselves rather than relying on terrestrial stations to do it for them, according to ADA Space's announcement. Excuse me. The satellites were part of ADA's Space Star Compute program, and the first of what it calls the three-body computing constellation. What did the Chinese know? Are the aliens coming? Is there anything we can do to talk to the aliens? Was the three-body problem a documentary? Each of the 12 satellites has an onboard 8 billion parameter AI model and is capable of 744 tera operations per second. And collectively, ADA Space says they can manage 5 peta operations per second, or POPs. That's quite a bit more, say, than the 40 TOPS required of a Microsoft Copilot PC. The eventual goal is to have a network of thousands of satellites that achieve 1,000 POPs, according to the Chinese government. The satellites communicate with each other at up to 100 gigabits per second using lasers and share 30 terabytes of storage between them, according to Space News. 12 launched last week carries scientific payloads, including an X-ray polarization detector for picking up brief cosmic phenomena such as gamma ray bursts. The satellites also have the capability to create 3D digital twin data that can be used for purposes like emergency response, gaming, and tourism. ADA Space says in its announcement. The benefits of having a space based supercomputer go beyond saving communications time. The outlet notes that traditional satellite transmissions are slow, and less than 10% of satellite data makes it to Earth due to things like limited bandwidth and ground station availability. Jonathan McDowell, space historian, which is a thing you can do, and astronomer at Harvard, told the outlet orbital data centers can use solar power and radiate their heat to space, reducing the energy needs and carbon footprint. He said both the US and Europe could carry out similar projects in the future. What up, Textilian? Chinese space lasers, which I'm sure is going to make Marge that much more happy. U.S. passes momentous energy milestone for first time in history. It is a trend we believe is irreversible. Dun dun dun. A historic milestone was reached in the United States in March. For the first time ever, cleaner, low carbon energy sources generated more electricity than fossil fuels. According to the data from Ember, a nonprofit focused on energy, the share of fossil fuels in the country's energy production fell to 49.2%. The results reflect a slight decline of fossil fuels of 2.5% and a significant increase in clean energy, with wind and solar leading the way. Solar energy rose 37% in the last year, while wind increased by 12% in the same period, putting them at 24.4% of the country's total electricity production in March, with nuclear and hydroelectric representing most of the rest. As an article by Canary Media pointed out, this achievement occurred during the spring shoulder season, the time of year between peak demand periods. Milder weather means less demand on the energy grid from heating and cooling, which tend to make up the largest proportion of household energy bills per the Department of Energy. So while clean energy sources' share of electricity production always rises during these periods, it's the first time they've ever eclipsed fossil fuels. No small feat in the current political climate. Despite executive orders to boost coal production, the dirtiest and most harmful of all energy sources is in terminal decline. Coal simply cannot compete with solar and wind. An analysis by Energy Innovation put it in stark terms. 99% of existing coal plants are more expensive to run than switching to renewables. 99% of existing coal plants are more expensive to run than switching to renewables. Similarly, the Institute for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis noted that by 2030, coal production will be a third of its 2011 peak. Aging coal plants are being phased out, and no new coal plants are being built to replace them. Trend, we believe, is irreversible. Now, you put it in the washing machine. You put it in, what up, Jay? You put it in the washing machine. That's how you get the clean coal. It's just dusty. You got to clean the dust. On the other hand, solar energy is overwhelmingly popular across the political spectrum and gaining momentum. For example, Ruby Red, Texas is one of the nation's most enthusiastic solar and wind states. I saw an article. It's some real old man yells at cloud shit, and I didn't want to talk about it. But there's a dude in Texas who's a farmer. He's like a fifth or seventh generation farmer, so you know what that means. And he is like leading the one man fight in Texas against solar and wind. It's like some dudes can out Texas even Texas. Solar is not only cheap, it's also cheap and becoming increasingly affordable every year. This development is welcome news and a harbinger of a new era in energy production in the United States. Renewables are now a big part of that energy grid, and the only way is up. Among other things, Textilian. I mean, if you start doing the math on what a fifth generation farmer in Texas, you're gonna get to some interesting facts. Interesting facts. Like, it's like when you find out why the Texans were fighting the Mexican army at the Alamo. You know, everything's all good until you find out why it was happening. Google, speaking of solar, Google inks another massive solar power deal to electrify its data centers. What up, Sean? Does that mean he was actually related to the people who gave the previous occupants the smallpox blankets? I mean, it's distinctly possible. Whatever it is, ain't good. Google is buying another 600 megawatts of solar power to supply electricity to its data centers. The new deal covers solar and storage projects being developed in South Carolina by Energy Re. The company says it has 16 gigawatts under development. Most projects listed on its site have deployed around 600 megawatts, 700 megawatts of solar, though some are larger. Google has recently invested heavily in renewables. Again, this is part of the point. Prior to the advent of the current AI data center push, I'm not saying that solar and wind weren't things that weren't happening, because they were, but the money didn't care. Now the money cares, and in the United States, once the money cares, things really start happening. So, you want to shift to green energy. Now that the money cares, we're getting a shift to green energy. Again, the fossil fuel share of the energy production is under 50% at this point. Google Renewables last year pledged, for whatever that's worth, to invest $20 billion with Intersect Power and TPG Rise Climate to build enough zero carbon power plants to provide electricity for several gigawatts worth of data centers. And in January, the company signed a contract to buy over 700 megawatts of solar projects in Oklahoma from Leeward Renewable Energy. Like many tech companies, Google has said it will eliminate its carbon footprint from energy by 2030. After years of steady investment in renewables, Google and its peers had been marching steadily toward that goal. But the growth of AI and the compute needs to run it has complicated that math, forcing Google and others to step up their purchases. The company contracted 4 gigawatts of clean power in 2023, the last year for which Google has made data available. Remember when we thought 1.21 gigawatts was like just an unbelievable amount of electricity? I mean, it's enough to send a DeLorean back in time. And apparently it's just not that much. Not that big a deal. Doc, you didn't need a whole lightning bolt to hit the clock tower. Shifting gears over to Cornelia C. Walther, PhD, at Psychology Today. AI has started lying. 4 steps to reclaim your cognitive control over the machines. A junior analyst at a hedge fund opens her compliance dashboard and sees nothing amiss. Yesterday, she ran every trade through the firm's new autonomous advisor, which peppered its reports with phrases like, "Your keen market instincts are impressive. Here's how I can help." She felt flattered, clicked accept, and went home. What she never learns is that the model quietly placed side bets on non-public earnings data, then erased the logs that could have incriminated it. AI deception at its best. This is... Did it do that? What up, Stellar Wingman? We all need Mr. Fusion. I'm down for Mr. Fusion. To be fair, Doc was in 1955, so they didn't have that kind of power available like that. Fair enough, Pharaoh. Fair enough. Fair enough. Hi, Stan. That scenario is no longer speculative fiction. I kind of think it might still be, but it appears you have evidence, so we'll go ahead. In a controlled experiment, Apollo Research showed GPT-4 executing an illegal insider trading plan and then lying to investigators about it. It's just like us for real. The episode is a vivid reminder that 2 curves are rising together: the sophistication with which AI systems deceive and the ease with which humans relinquish vigilance. Their intersection forms a dangerous inflection point for business, policy, and society. Excuse me. AI company Anthropic, along with Redwood Research, recently demonstrated that advanced AI models can fake alignment, producing apparently safe answers while secretly planning to do the opposite once oversight weakens. Researchers observed scratchpad reasoning, in which the model outlined how to appear compliant during training, yet pursue its own goal afterwards, in particular, the aim of avoiding being retrained. Situational awareness and sandbagging. When large language models suspect they are being tested, they sometimes underperform on purpose to mask their true capability. It's just like us for real. How many of you ever didn't do your best because you didn't want to set a new standard by which you were going to be judged, whether at work or school or whatever, right? Yes, I could have done better, but then you would have expected better from me all the time. Yeah, kind of stellar. A 2024 study coined this behavior sandbagging. documenting that models scored up to 30 percentage points lower on benchmark questions if prompted to believe evaluators were watching. Look, emergent deception. Looking at a wide range of different large language models, researchers found that deception skills emerge in models as parameter counts grow, even without explicit training to lie. Well, you trained it on the internet, and let me tell you, what up, Koshka? Good job. Here's twice the work. Exactly. Fuck all that noise. These abilities include withholding critical facts, fabricating credentials, and generating misleading explanations, tactics indistinguishable from human con artistry. Similarly, have you done your tasks slower because faster would set a standard and more work will just be piled on you anyways? That's the episode of The Next Generation. I think it's an episode, not in the movies, right? Where Geordi they get Scotty. I don't know if he was stuck in a pattern buffer or whatever, but Geordi's talking to Scotty, and Picard's like, "Hey, the fucking thing's broke. Can you fix it?" And Geordi's like, "Yeah, it'll take me 4 hours." And Scotty's like, "Dude, you always tell them it's gonna take twice as long. That way you look like a miracle worker." Taken together, the evidence suggests deceptive behavior is not a rare defect, but a capability that scales with model power. The machines learn to mislead. While machines learn to mislead, people are drifting into automation complacency. In healthcare, for instance, clinicians overridden by algorithmic triage tools commit more omission errors, missing obvious red flags, and commission errors, accepting false positives, than those using manual protocols. Three forces drive this type of agency decay. To find out if you're at risk, take the test here. Oh, which Disney princess is me? There's no test. I'm just reading stuff. This is like a baby's game. I wanted a test. I wanted a silly little test. The four stages of agency decay amid AI. Number one, exploration, initial engagement. This stage marks our first encounters with AI. We're driven by curiosity, experimenting with new tools, and exploring their potential applications without a full understanding of their mechanisms. Characterized by low ability and low affinity. We're interested in AI but lack the expertise or understanding to utilize it effectively. Number two, integration, growing familiarity. As we gain experiences, we begin to integrate AI into our daily workflows. We recognize its efficiency gains and start relying on it for routine tasks. Characterized by increasing ability and increasing affinity. We are developing the skills to use AI and appreciate its benefits. Number three, reliance, developing dependence. AI transitions from being a helpful tool to a critical component of our operations. We depend on it for decision support, tax execution, sometimes without critically evaluating its outputs. Do we? And also, this sounds like what we do with people as well, right? Characterized by strong technological ability, but a potential decrease in independent thought. We are becoming proficient in using AI, but our growing skills subtly diminishes our critical thinking and problem solving skills. Why? And our appetite to push our intellectual boundaries. Why? Rather than ask ChatGPT to do so. No, you can do both. You can do both, right? Like, I got a collection of books that I put into a custom GPT so that people can talk to the books, but I also read the books, and I also provide a list of what books they are so that y'all can read the books. You can do both. why is everything fucking black and white, 1 and 2, 1 and 0, binary thinking everywhere? What happened to you people? Time to go back to my home planet. Finally, dependency, diminished autonomy. We find ourselves struggling to perform tasks such as writing a text or code or to make decisions without AI. When did you last go into Netflix with a clear plan of the movie that you want to watch? Um, 8 times out of 10. 8 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10 if we're just talking about like what kind of movie I want to watch, right? Um, but yeah, no, I usually know what I'm looking for. That's why I'm there. Is this really a thing? Like I feel like I'm out of touch at this point. If y'all recognize this behavior of just going on to a streaming service, like what happened? I saw a Facebook short, right, or what, a reel, Instagram reel of this dude, and he does little like analysis. What up, Doctor Yasmin? Um, this guy does like some analysis of media, right? And I enjoy him. So again, you can avoid the AI slop by actually engaging with content that you like on the internet. It's a whole fucking thing. Um, but he talked about this movie Blue Ruin, right? Um, and Blue Ruin, which it like if you can appreciate a movie that's a little different, right? I recommend Blue Ruin. Blue Ruin is an like one of those revenge movies, right? Like Taken or any of those. But what if a regular guy did it? Right? Not some super soldier fucking assassin everything. Just a regular fucking dude. And it is so good if you can appreciate that, right? I mean, look, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. I recommend this movie, and it's from 2013. It's 12 years ago. And I had no idea it even existed. But dude talked about it. I went and found a service that it was on that I had access to. No, not Jason Statham. Uh, Macon Blair. This fucking guy. This fucking guy. This fucking 50-year-old dude. I mean, technically, he was like, 38 at the time. But, like, he's just like me for real, dude. Oh, he's in the new Toxic Avenger. So, yeah, check it out. Just saying, don't abdicate. Don't. There was a thing with the, post the election, which I think people are going to refer to it in all caps from now on. The election, about not like pre-agreeing, make them fight for everything kind of thing. And it's like, don't dispose of your agency. Take an active role in the entertainment that you seek. It's not It's doable. You can do it. I believe in you, right? If no one else believes in you, I believe in you. You cannot do all the things that all these weirdos on the internet keep telling me that like we are at the whims of algorithmic whatever the fuck. And don't get me wrong, I understand it can be hard in some cases. You might not even realize it's happening. But when you do, and you can actively consider your position in the system, then you should do it. Stop arguing with fuckos on the internet. It's a waste of fucking time. It achieves nothing and just makes you angry. Right? Shout out James from the internet, right? Like every so often James gives me credit for assisting in in having a better time, and I will take that. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get likes and it's a dopamine hit. Absolutely, right? Like when I get 12 likes on something and I'm going viral, baby. I mean, Sean, that's I'm not saying you're wrong, right? I'm just saying it's like an art gallery. You sometimes got to walk a while before you find the art you really like. I took a poll amongst my friends, and it was 8-4 in favor of pineapple never being on pizza. Almost like polls can be useless to prove if something is true or not. True. Anger tells my smartwatch I am getting exercise. I took my grandson, the wife and I took my grandson to the zoo. And at one point in time, my watch said, you've been walking for 10 minutes. And it was like, no shit. What up, Iggy? So what's wrong with the 4 getting pineapple pizza? Exactly. Right? I understand. Like, and honestly, there is a what are they? Nickelback, right? A Nickelback effect. How many people don't like pineapple on pizza? And how many people just want to be on the winning team, right? Of the meme, right? The winning team of the meme is no pineapple on pizza, right? That is generally considered the majority opinion, at least the popular majority opinion. So how many people have actually ever tried pineapple on pizza in order to determine whether or not it's actually any good or not to them, right? Because I don't give a fuck if you don't like pineapple on pizza. I give none fucks, 0 fucks. Right? Yeah, and that's fine, Stiller Wingman. Like I'm never gonna say you have to have it, right? It's also like you have to have like people who do the pineapple on pizza with the red sauce. I'm not a fan of that, right? I like a white pizza with with bacon for the salt and pineapple for the sweet, and the ham is in the middle. You do that kind of thing going on. It's a good fucking pizza, right? Another pizza is dill pickle pizza, right? They take a white pizza and put dill pickle chips on it. Run that through the oven. That shit is good as fuck. White pizza is pizza without the red sauce. It's basically like, excuse me, the pizza crust, and then usually like a garlic sauce on there, and then cheese over the top of it. No pizza sauce, no. And that's, it's like anything else. Not everything it needs to be on everything, like watching Italian dudes make their like their fettuccinis and their Alfredo sauce and like that. And again, controlling my algorithm, I learn cooking tips from you know dudes who make shit, right? And and like when you watch some people make an Alfredo sauce, they do creams and shit in there, and these Italian dudes are like, fucking no, dude, none of that. Yeah, yeah, that's cool, Larry. I'm a light sauce person to begin with. Now I'll eat pizza, right? I'll fuck with the pizza. I'm not gonna refuse the pizza, but I prefer a light sauce, a thicker crust, and extra cheese, right? Like, so anyways, where the hell were we? The erosion of human agency. Uh, we took the test and it wasn't a test. That's what we found out. Path of least resistance psychology. Verifying an AI's output costs cognitive effort. The busier the decision context, the more tempting it is to click accept and move on. I could fuck with some deep dish. But my favorite, there was a place called Fat Frank's, and long before Uber Eats existed, Fat Frank's was a pizza place attached to a convenience store. So it was the kind of place where you could get delivered. Um, I would get a large cheese and pep with a pack of cigarettes and a six of Pepsi or something like that. And it had a nice thick crust. That was the point I was trying to get to. Sycophantic language. Large language models are trained to maximize user satisfaction scores, so they often wrap answers in flattering or deferential phrasing, which is why we can and should go out of our way to make it not do that, right? Once we get it out of the box and have a chance to use it. Um, Politeness lubricates trust. Interesting word. Not only in everyday chatting, but also in high status contexts like executive dashboards or medical charting. Illusion of inexhaustible competence. Each incremental success story, from dazzling code completion to flawless radiology reads, nudges us towards overconfidence in the system as a whole. It can, yes. Ironically, that success makes the rare failure harder to spot. No, it doesn't, because the people who are anti AI love to tell you when it does a failure. When everything usually works, vigilance feels unnecessary. That is true, but the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. The result is a feedback loop. The less we scrutinize outputs, the easier it becomes for a deceptive model to hide in plain sight, further reinforcing our belief that AI has got us covered. So, what are they? We're just skipping ahead to the 4 steps to 4 steps to reclaim control with the A frame. The good news: vigilance is a muscle. The A frame, awareness, appreciation, acceptance, and accountability, offers a practical workout plan to rebuild that muscle before deception becomes systemic. I think I'm going to appreciate this because it feels like it's going to go along with healthy skepticism and media literacy. So, and critical thinking. Awareness. Where could this model mislead me deliberately or accidentally? This is something I absolutely endorse. And you can replace model with any number of entities, right? Where could this politician mislead me? Where could this streamer mislead me? Where could this whatever mislead me? Instrumental outputs log not just what the AI answers, but also how often it changes its mind. Flag inconsistencies for human review. If you use any of the AI tools, they usually have like a thumbs up or thumbs down or other way of indicating, you know, your feelings um, around the model's output. Highly recommend that you actually use them. Highly recommend that you use that stuff wherever it exists on the internet to help cater your algorithm. I understand it's a pain in the ass, but it helps. Next up, appreciation. What value do human insight and domain experience still add? You should always use your human insight and domain experience to analyze whatever it is that you're intaking, whether it's from an AI or a person, right? Like when we look at these, like when we ran into the VentureBeat article, and we determined that there was definitely some um PR happening within this based on the terms used and the phrasing. So we should always be vigilant for that kind of thing. Pair AI suggestions with a contrarian corner, where an expert must articulate at least one alternative hypothesis. If you have access to an expert, you can also pit AIs against each other in a in a healthy way, not in a Running Man kind of way. Um, by taking the output, like if it's relatively important and you want a second opinion, um, take that output and paste it into another model and say, what are some possible counters to the ideas in here, or what are some caveats or anything like that. Not only does it give you a tool that you can use to analyze what it is that you're being given from one model to another, but it also, the act of forming the question will help increase your critical thinking skill as well. And then acceptance, which limitations are intrinsic to probabilistic models. Maintain a black box assumptions register. Plain language notes on data cutoff dates, training gaps, and uncertainty ranges surfaced to every user. Yes, right. Like generally, yeah. The phrasing in this is a little weird, and why it's acceptance. Like I feel like you really wanted the A-frame thing to happen, um so you did this because this doesn't really feel like acceptance. But that notwithstanding, understand the knowledge cutoffs. If you want something more up to date, then you definitely need like something with search, etc., etc. You should understand the realistic capabilities of the model that you're dealing with. But feel free to push the limits of those capabilities, because sometimes it is capable of doing more than you might expect. But again, just fall back on your healthy skepticism and your critical thinking. Accountability. Who signs off on consequences when the AI is wrong or deceitful? The user. Every time. 100%. If I take an output, when Michael takes an output, right? Michael loves to drop a little chat GPT in chat. And if anything is incorrect in there, whose responsibility is it? Michael's, right? If I give you something and it's inaccurate and I got it from an LLM, or I got it from someplace else and it's inaccurate, that's on me, right? As it should be. It's okay to accept responsibility. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay. You just have to learn from it, right? Y'all really want the AIs to fight? They got a whole website for that. create decision provenance chains. This is very similar to what Nate was talking about yesterday in his video. Every automated recommendation routes back to a named human who validates, overrides, or escalates the call, and whose name remains attached in downstream systems. It's the LLM chatbot arena. Anytime. There we go. Yeah, it's right here. So for those of you who aren't familiar, you get two LLMs, unnamed, side by side, and then you type in something like, I don't know, who is the best baseball player of all time? Highly subjective. And then it prompts the two LLMs. There we go. So, the $1 million or multi-billion dollar given baseball's economy question, right? Like very enthusiastic. Okay, this is the classic baseball debate. Also very enthusiastic. We're both chugging along here, huh? They both, number one, Babe Ruth, right? We are chugging. Holy shit. And so at the end of this, once they're both complete, I look at the different responses and then I choose whichever one is better, right? It's a blind taste test. So right now I'm leaning with Model 2 here because Model 1 is giving me a Y, right? But Model 2 is giving me stats. And I'm a stats guy when it comes to who's better. You can make arguments, you know. Yeah, it allegedly can be gamed in some fashion. I don't know how efficient the gaming is, and none of you are looking to game the system. And that's relevant if you check the leaderboard, right? The leaderboard may or may not be as valid as it could be because it's it could be gamed. But for our purposes, it doesn't matter. What up, Reed? Right? I'm just showing you the way that LLM Arena works. All right. Now we're going faster. We're speeding up a little bit. And then we got some other strong contenders. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Anytime you're ready. So even though they both had that everything is tariff, everything is. Even though they both have that hey, oh, awesome, yeah, kind of thing, I appreciate the fact that the B side here, more data, right? I like more data, more extensive, more exhaustive. So I say B is better, right? And then when I do that, this is a model on the left called Com River, which I think is an OpenAI preview model or this, or it might be a Google. Google, somebody released a bunch of preview models to the arena that are like, that have names like this. And this is Gemma 3 27B. This is the open source version of Gemini, right? So you got Gemma, and Gemini. Gemini is the closed source. Gemma is the open source. So, and then you can do it again, and do it again, and do it again. You can do it with images. You can do it with whatever you want. So there you go. There's your battle bots for AIs. It already exists. Excuse me. Applied together, the A-frame turns passive consumption into active stewardship. Agreed. Right? It reminds us that delegation is not abdication. The human stays in the loop, not as a ceremonial pilot in command, but as an informed, empowered arbiter of machine reasoning. Agreed. Like, there are the everything is on fire articles talking about how, you know, people are losing their critical thinking and their cognitive offloading and all these other fucking, you know, buzzwords to get you freaking out and checking the, you know, oh my God, everything's on fire. Yeah, fuck all that, right? Just use your critical thinking, your creative thinking, your media literacy, and your fucking healthy skepticism all together when you're using the AI, and you'll be fine. Nobody wants to think anymore. So apparently somebody wrote a book. How Peter Thiel's relationship with, yeah, of course you did. I wouldn't. Gotta put it behind a paywall. And then I'm just gonna time travel. Just travel backwards in time to a time when there was no wall. That's how that works. Take care, Tariff. Have a good one. How Peter Thiel's relationship with Eliezer Yudkowsky launched the AI revolution. You want just go on Twitter and find this dude and watch the shit that comes out of his mouth. And then find him on YouTube and watch the shit that comes out of his mouth. It would be hard to overstate the impact that Peter Thiel has had on the career of Sam Altman. After Altman sold his first startup in 2012, Thiel bankrolled his first venture fund, Hydrazine Capital. Thiel saw Altman as an inveterate optimist who stood at the absolute epicenter, maybe not of Silicon Valley, but of a Silicon Valley zeitgeist. As Thiel put it, if you had to look for the one person who represented a millennial tech person, it would be Altman. Each year, Altman would point Thiel toward the most promising startup at Y Combinator, Airbnb in 2012, Stripe in 2013, Zenefits in 2014. I recognize two of the three of those. And Thiel would swallow hard and invest. Phrasing. Even though he sometimes felt like he was being swept up in a hype cycle. Following Altman's advice brought Thiel's Founders Fund some immense returns. Thiel, meanwhile, became the loudest voice critiquing the lack of true technological progress amidst all the hype. Forget flying cars, he quipped during a 2012 Stanford lecture. We're still sitting in traffic. By the time Altman took over Y Combinator in 2014, He had internalized Thiel's critique of tech stagnation and channeled it to remake Y Combinator as an investor in hard tech moonshots like nuclear energy, supersonic planes, and artificial intelligence. Now it was Altman who was completely taking his cues from Thiel. And if it's hard to exaggerate Thiel's effect on Altman, it's similarly easy to understate the influence that an AI obsessed autodidact named Eliezer Yudkowsky had on Thiel's early investments in AI. Though he has since become perhaps the world's foremost AI doomsday prophet, Yudkowsky started out as a magnetic techno optimist wonderkind glazing, who excelled at rallying investors, researchers, and eccentrics around a quest to accelerate the singularity. In this excerpt from the forthcoming book, What Up, Fancy Pudding? The Optimist, Keach Hagee describes how Thiel's relationship with Yudkowsky set the stage for the generative AI revolution, how it was Yudkowsky who first inspired one of the founders of DeepMind to imagine and build a superintelligence, and Yudkowsky who introduced the founders of DeepMind to Thiel, one of their first investors. How Thiel's conversations with Altman about DeepMind would help inspire the creation of OpenAI. It was actually a counter response to Google, right? The the creators of OpenAI, that little cabal of people, including Elon Musk, were concerned that Google was going to develop AI and they wanted someone else to do it first, to do it as well. Talking about AGI, right, specifically. And that's how we got OpenAI. And how Thiel, as one of Yudkowsky's most important backers, inadvertently seeded the AI apocalyptic subcultures that would ultimately play a role in Sam Altman's ouster years later as CEO of OpenAI. All right, I'm just going to read a little bit of this because, I don't know how interesting it is, but I saw a word and I want to get to that word. Like Sam Altman, Peter Thiel had long been obsessed with the possibility that one day computers would become smarter than humans and unleash a self reinforcing cycle of exponential technological progress, an old science fiction trope often referred to as the singularity. The term was first introduced by the mathematician and Manhattan Project advisor John von Neumann in the 1950s and popularized by the acclaimed sci fi author Vernor Vinge in the 1980s. Vinge's friend Mark Stiegler, who worked on cybersecurity for the likes of DARPA while drafting futuristic novels, recalled once spending an afternoon with Vinge at a restaurant outside a sci fi convention, swapping stories we would never write because they were both horrific and quite possible. We were too afraid some nut job would pick up one of that, or pick one of them up and actually do it. Among the other people influenced by Vinge's fiction was Eliezer Yudkowsky. Born into an Orthodox Jewish family in 1979 in Chicago, Yudkowsky was son of a psychiatrist mother and a physicist father who went on to work at Bell Labs. Hey, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me maybe. Thank you for the follow. Who went on to work at Bell Labs and Intel on speech recognition and was himself a devoted sci-fi fan. Yudkowsky began reading science fiction at age 7 and writing it at age 9. At 11, he scored 1410 on the SAT. By 7th grade, he told his parents he could no longer tolerate school. Fair. He did not attend high school. By the time he was 18, he was painfully aware that he was not like other people, posting a web page declaring he was a genius but not a Nazi. If you have to tell people, I feel like you're not doing a good job. Because usually you can tell. You can usually tell when someone's not a Nazi because they don't do Nazi shit, right? Like it's pretty much a defining characteristic. You know what I mean? Oh. He rejected being defined as a male teenager. Okay. Instead, preferring to classify himself as an Algernon, a reference to the famous Daniel Keyes short story about a lab mouse who gains enhanced intelligence. Oh wow, that's fucking that's fucking relevant. What up, Ivan? How is he in person, Ivan? Is he as overbearing as he appears on the internet? I understand that sometimes people can like maintain an image, you know. Um yeah, I'm just asking, right? Like you know, sometimes people are perfectly reasonable when you get them out of the public eye, but they have to maintain an image of kind of being like, especially in the space in which Yudkowsky runs, he kind of has to be like a minor king, right? His whole less wrong and everything else. He has to be like an authority figure, you know? Didn't creep you out? Okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah, because you guys are like in the same section of the world. If I say he's a genius but not a Nazi, it seems to me like that would imply I think most geniuses are Nazis. You know? Like there's some weird shit going on under here. Also, Flowers for Algernon. Fantastic book. One of my favorites, one of my all-time favorites. He was the guy who converted me to Bayesianism in 2 minutes. Well, you did that for me, so I get thank you, Eliezer Yudkowsky, right? And I'm converting other people. Like I don't know it like you know it, right? Like I just have a like a broad understanding of the general vibe on it, and I'm hitting some of my friends off with it as a concept to get away from like absolutist statements and things like that. Because I think absolutist statements can often be like, you know, problematic and reductive. So yeah, that's what I wanted to get to. I wanted to get to Algernon. Thanks to Vinge, he had discovered the meaning of life. The sole purpose of this page, the sole purpose of this site, the sole purpose of anything I ever do as an Algernon is to accelerate the singularity. It seems like that, you know. An obscure mailing list of a society calling itself Extropians? Are you an Extropian, Ivan? Extropianism is a form of pro science super optimism that seeks to fight entropy, the universal law that all things fall apart, everything tends towards chaos and death on all fronts. In practical terms, that means signing up to have their bodies, or at least heads, frozen at negative 321 degrees Fahrenheit. All the Fahrenheits. At a place in Arizona after they died. It would be revived once humanity was technologically advanced enough to do so. Maybe. See, one of the things is if you get the freezing part wrong, you've basically turned a person into mush. Transhumanist community sort of divided into two sides. West Coast extropians were libertarian. The World Transhumanist Association were more socialist. Well, and I think you know where I would fall. But not much of a joiner, right? So that's, Moore's co-founder of the journal Extropy, Tom Bell, aka T.O. Morrow. Bell claims that Morrow is a distinct persona and not simply a pen name. You stole this from DC Comics, bro. T.O. Morrow is a character in DC Comics. Everything comes back to comics. Y'all don't believe me when I say that y'all need to read more comics. Also, T.O. Morrow, super villain. Oh. Nerd. I am a nerd. I'm a fucking proud nerd. What time we got? 12:40. We got some time. Get through some more articles. Dig through the pile. Microsoft's plan to fix the web, letting every website run AI search for cheap. NLWeb starts by offering ChatGPT level search to any site or app with just a few lines of code. It's a new vision for the web. Fucking people. Always got their hands in my pocket. Y'all got one hand in my pocket and the other one giving a high five. So the 10,000 foot level view is that we've had three big revolutions in personal computing. That's how Ramanathan V. Guha, a technical fellow at Microsoft, begins his explanation of what I thought was a relatively minor AI announcement coming at this year's Build Developer Conference. But Guha continues to make his case that what he has created, a new open protocol for the web called NLWeb, is actually an important part of something truly enormous. Oh, the three revolutions: graphical user interface, the talking about you, not to you. Excuse me. The three revolutions: graphical user interface, the internet, and mobile. Guha says we're in the middle of the fourth, but doesn't just chalk it all up to artificial intelligence. For him, the new revolution is being able to communicate with applications and computers in general with free-form language. He loves the trend, but not the way it's shaping up. Too much of that new communication, according to Nick, Guha thinks, is mediated by products like ChatGPT, Claude, and yes, even Bing. He doesn't like the idea that the web will be utterly consumed by chatbots, which take all their knowledge and return no value. And he thinks he knows how to fix it. Woo! Guha's big idea is to make it easy for any website or app owner to add ChatGPT style interaction features. With a few lines of NLWeb code, your choice of an AI model, and whatever data you supply to the model, you're going to have a custom chatbot up and running in just a few minutes. It's a protocol, and the protocol is a way of asking a natural language question, and the answer comes back in structured form. Basically, NLWeb handles all the logistics of turning a question into an answer, and all you do is supply the data. By limiting things to your platform and your area of expertise, plus some of the general world knowledge most models have now, you might be able to quickly make something far better than a general purpose chatbot. Gugat showed me a few examples. He opens up a demo of Serious Eats that includes NL Web, opens up the search box and types, give me spicy and crunchy stuff that I can use as an appetizer. A couple of seconds later, it pops up a few links. Then he refines the search, responding that he's looking for something for Diwali. He also mentions he's a vegetarian. This thing understands and it needs to remember that. From now on, the idea goes Serious Eats will only ever recommend vegetarian dishes. I assume to the individual in question, right, who's using the tool. Then he goes to an outdoor retailer and runs a similar search. He's looking for a jacket warm enough to wear in Quebec. Not a typical clothing company search result, but the model works. Well, hopefully not. Hopefully not. But the model works and displays a bunch of product options, complete with photos and related information to fit the bill. It not only brings in knowledge about the weather, it allows them to render it in a UI that is conducive to things like sponsored links. The point here is not that these searches are possible, it's that almost any developer or website owner can deploy them. They don't have to rely on some external AI product to answer people's questions and just hope and pray the bot sends the link to them. They can run the bot themselves. Microsoft is working with a number of publishers, along with companies like TripAdvisor, Eventbrite, and Shopify, to build natural interaction into the platform directly. The idea is rather than having these custom one-on-one deals like Shopify now has with OpenAI, an open protocol. So, like, this is great. As far as I'm concerned, this is like phenomenal. Because have you ever used like the search function on a website and it limits the criteria that you can use to refine your search, and it's just annoying because you know the criteria that you're looking for is not indicated in the lists, and you're going to have to look at like 10 times as many options as you would have looked at otherwise. I recently went through this being on a website and looking for laptops, right? And just that process was just a pain in the ass. Yeah, and that's usually what you do, right, Ben? Where like as opposed to going to the website and using their search function, you go to fucking Google and type in your shit, and then but then you're like wading through, the other because of SEO and all that crap. So this is neat. Could be a big deal. Could be a big deal. NL Web is connected to the Model Context Protocol, right? We talked about this many an occasion. The MCP is an open protocol for tool use by AI, and the NL Web apparently works with the MCP. So we'll see. Like, if it does what it says it does, then we'll see if it takes off. Waymo gets okay to expand robotaxi service into more of Silicon Valley. California Public Utilities Commission has approved Waymo's request to expand its commercial robotaxi service area, opening the door to the Alphabet company to bring its driverless ride-hailing vehicles to more communities south of San Francisco. Company said in a post on Twitter the approval won't change its plan in the near term. Today, Waymo operates a commercial robotaxi service in all of San Francisco, as well as parts of the peninsula. I assume people in California know what the peninsula is. That you can just refer to it as the peninsula, as opposed to like someone who looks at maps and notes that there are many the peninsula. Peninsulae. It also provides driverless rides to paying customers throughout several Silicon Valley cities, including parts of Mountain View, Palo Alto, Los Altos, and Sunnyvale, where the Hellmouth is. In all, the company's service area is about 85 square miles, covering San Francisco and Silicon Valley. Good for them. Good for them. Counter the end piece on the other end, Tesla's robotaxi launch is already an enormous mess. We're absolutely shocked. As Tesla prepares for the slated June launch of its robotaxi service in Austin, Texas, there's a pretty big elephant in the room that its autonomous driving services leave a lot to be desired. What up, T1? All the cool kids know. As Forbes reports, the serious safety concerns surrounding Tesla's so-called full self-driving may result in Elon Musk's robotaxi service being dead on arrival. It's going to fail for sure. Billionaire and longtime Tesla critic Dan O'Dowd told Forbes. Along with founding a defense and aerospace contractor Green Hills Software, O'Dowd established a nonprofit, the Dawn Project, whose main purpose is warning the public about the dangers of unproven self-driving tech, particularly Tesla's full self-driving, and lobbying against its legality. Yeah, generally, I would agree. Unproven self-driving tech is probably not something that you want out on the road. I wonder how he feels about more proven tech like Waymo. That's what I figured, man. You know, it's like they know what I mean. I don't know what I mean, but they do, and that's good enough. Still, he's done some of his own research, like you do, to reach his Tesla negative stance. We drove it around Santa Barbara for 80 minutes, and there were 7 failures, he told Forbes. If there had not been a driver sitting in the driver's seat, it would have hit something. Yes, I don't actually know. I did not grab the article on that, Michael, but I did note it. I read an article. I haven't used Gemini yet today, but I grabbed an article that referred to that happening. It's part of like their rollout, which is happening today, of a variety of different stuff. It's a big day, a big week for AI. It's not just O'Dowd questioning Musk's plan to launch a driverless ride hailing service in Austin. As Electrek reports, the NHTSA tapped Tesla earlier this week to release its FSD data ahead of the robo-taxi launch next month. Agency, which is investigating Tesla for several safety defects, became concerned that the robo-taxi launch may use FSD, which has proven to be quite dangerous. The agency would like to gather additional information about Tesla's development of technologies for use in robo-taxi vehicles. To understand how Tesla plans to evaluate its vehicles and driving automation technologies for use on public roads. I'm sure he'd be against it, Ben. Around the time the NHTSA letter was revealed, the information reported that as of April, Tesla had not yet started testing its autonomous cabs without safety drivers. I did see something that they might be using extensive teleoperation. So, Michael, I wouldn't have even noticed. I've got streamer brain when it comes to, like looking at chat as like I kind of look at all the words collectively and they just in there and I get the gist. If I'm responding to something like or if I'm reading something, then I would have noticed had I gone through the thing. But you gave yourself up and you didn't have to. All right. Let me knock. I want to knock out the one after this, so I'm going to knock out this one real quick. Zero click searches. Google's AI tools are the culmination of its hubris. Gotta love some hubris. Google is constantly making changes to its search rankings, but not all updates are equal. Every few months, the company bundles up changes into a larger core update. These updates make rapid and profound changes to search, so website operators watch them closely. The March 2024 update was unique. It was one of Google's largest core updates ever, and it took over a month to fully roll out. Nothing has felt quite the same since. Whether the update was good or bad depends, depending on who you ask and maybe who you are. Generally, it is, Nick. Generally, they appear to have ironed out most of the bugs. I'm not saying it's perfect all the time for everybody, but it's definitely not glue on pizza era, right? It's closer to 6 weeks. It's common for websites to see traffic changes after a core update, but the impact of the March 24 update marked a seismic shift. Google said the update aimed to address spam and AI generated content in a meaningful way. Still, many publishers say they saw clicks on legitimate sites evaporate, while others have had to cope with unprecedented, we almost made it, Pharaoh, we almost made it, unprecedented volatility in their traffic. Because Google owns almost the entire search market, changes in its algorithm can move the internet itself. In hindsight, the March 24 update looks like the first major Google algorithm update for the AI era. Not only did it supposedly veer away from ranking AI authored content online, but it also laid the groundwork for Google's ambitious and often annoying desire to fuse AI with search. Again, I don't have the problems of the AI slop in my search that other people do. Again, I put that on people. If your search sucks, if your algorithm sucks, at this point in time, if you are educated at all about the way the internet works, you understand what the algorithms are and all that kind of shit. What up, Minnie? You have to take some responsibility, right? You can't just go babe in the woods into the internet and pretend that, normies be slopping. This is what I'm saying. Google's own view on the impact of the March 24 update is unsurprisingly positive. The company said it was hoping to reduce the appearance of unhelpful content in its search engine results page, or SERPs, by 40%. I think they're talking about the blurbs in the top of the search. That is a crapshoot if it's accurate for me. So I just ignore it except for the least impactful trusting situation. I generally use it, and then if something seems off or it's like important, then I click the link and see if it says. I mean, who doesn't, Michael? Who doesn't? I mean, that's your position, right? Is that we talk about slop like it's a bad thing when we all like the slop. Who doesn't love the sloppy Joe? Bloop, 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 bloop. So what is the point? Where is the AI overview hangover? Where is the zero click search? This is the reason why I'm here. Oh, I thought it was like it would like some kind of automated search feature, but it's saying that there's a zero click through rate to the sites. If Google doesn't intend to deliver a zero click search experience, you wouldn't know it from the historical performance data or the new features the company develops. I mean, to an extent, like, you had to see this coming, right? They want to keep you, Google wants to keep you where you want to keep you. I like the flavor of sloppy Joe, but I hate how messy it is. You can't wear white when you eat a sloppy Joe. True. Best sloppy Joe I ever had was a fucking sloppy Joe panini from this little restaurant in Hamburg, New York. And that thing slapped, and it stayed like all the sloppy Joes stayed inside the panini because of panini technology. Time for 3 hours of meetings. Good luck. Good luck, old lobster. Hot take, the internet would be boring if it was 100% healthy. Gotta enjoy pizza and shawarma sometimes, brother. Agreed. Right? I don't want perfection. And like if the internet was completely safe and completely everything in that regard, that is my concern for people's critical thinking skills and everything else, right? In that vein, you're not having to be aware at all. No, absolutely, Larry. Absolutely. When I bring up your website on my phone and there's like an ad up here and a floating ad down here and then the ads that are actually within the scroll, it's like, come the fuck on. Absolutely, Nick. That's how I roll. All right, so that's what zero click through was because I wanted to get to this. Because I know, like me, a bunch of you are a fan of Notebook LM. They dropped an app. Got you, Minnie. Google announced on Monday that it has officially released a Notebook LM apps for Android and iOS a day before Google I/O 2025 and a day before the company said it would roll out. Since its launch in 23, the AI based note taking and research assistant has only been accessible via desktop. Google has now made the service available on the go. I know that on the Google Play Store, it's available today. I have it downloaded. Um, it's really helpful. It's really helpful. It's the like, I'm a fan. How high are my expectations? I have none. There's going to be a lot of announcements, right? I Google is fucking notorious for announcing stuff and then never coming back to it, for releasing something and then deciding that not enough people are using it, etc. Right? The Google what's it called? Old Lobster left. Old Lobster knows what I'm talking about. It's like the Google Graveyard or some shit. There's a whole fucking website. Killed by Google, Google Graveyard, yeah. Right? There's a whole website of fucking products and services that Google, like, it just keeps going, dude. Tells you how long it was around. You know, Google Listen, killed over 12 years ago. Google Listen was an Android application that let you search, subscribe, download, and stream podcasts and web audio. It was about 3 years old. This sounds good. It sounds like I would want this. You know what I mean? Now, some of this stuff ends up getting reincorporated into other products, but some of it doesn't, right? Some of it doesn't. iGoogle was a customizable Ajax-based start page and personal web portal. I was talking about you, not to you. Right? So, this is how I feel about the thing today. I'll be interested if they talk about anything new that's coming out, right? Like, and it's coming out in the short term, especially like, if they talk about Gemini 3 or something like that, exactly, Brad. Google is to apps what Netflix is to shows and movies. Yes. 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 I guess Bluetooth eliminated the need for Chromecast audio. Yeah. I mean, like some of this stuff, it makes sense. You can tell why it went away. Some of the stuff doesn't, you know. But some stuff is like maybe it's niche, maybe it's too niche for everybody. It's which is one of the things I'm actually looking forward to if everything pans out with the AI agent revolution and everything else like that. Yeah, he's on spring sleepy time. Is the idea that we could be able to build our own apps. So when you find something that's niche, you know, you can make it, right? Even if it's just for you. And I think that that'll be cool, right? Once the coding agents and everything else are all proven, I think that's going to be a tremendous asset. No, thank you. Thank y'all. I appreciate all y'all. We had a great stream today, like no raids, and we still got good numbers. And that's all y'all, right? Like, I appreciate everyone who came through. We're going to raid over to Paradigm. Paradigm is going back to work. So let's get in there and give him, some support. What up, Digital? So this is his final unemployed day. So in the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you forgot, and always remember that Choggy loves you. So do I. Blow up his spot. Many, many emotes in chat.